Welcome to Veganpodden.se, a podcast broadcasted from Sweden. This is episode 11, and my name is Minal Parek Nygård. So last year, this podcast started by having interviews and fact-filled news bulletins. This year so far, the episodes have been more of a chronicle style, and today I continue in the same way. This episode is about the oceans and about 10 minutes long. Oceans cover 70% of our planet. No wonder we have a special relation to them. 70% filled with life and mystery. Fishes and mammals, and who knows what else. Highly intelligent living forms with capabilities and life that is beyond all imaginations. And now the oceans are running out of fish and life. Industrial fishing that has gone out of control is one of the reasons. And we consumers who in the end are the ones that allow this to happen. There is a just released documentary which is about to become the talk of the town. It's named Seaspiracy. If you have not seen it, I recommend to watch it. I do believe this film will have an impact on the fishing industry, because it's hard to continue subsidize and defend the fishing industry after having seen the film. Actually, I do believe the film will make many people stop eating fish, and not for the sake of sparing the life of a fish individual, but also because it is evident that the oceans and the whole planet depends on that fishes exist in the oceans. Humans can no longer continue to empty the oceans from fish. And of course for vegans who would not eat fish in any case, this film is appealing, because even if it talks about saving the oceans, mainly from a climate perspective, the outcome is still that the fish needs protection. The conclusion of the film, which hardly anyone could disagree on, is that it's almost impossible to maintain and ensure a sustainable fishing. It's not possible to eat a sustainable fish, because such fish are too difficult to find. And it has partly to do with the fact that it is very difficult to control what actually happens out on the oceans. So it's really difficult to ensure a sustainable fishing. Some companies that today are seen as a guarantee for fish to be protected are in fact the ones giving green light to actions that they are said to prevent. For example, dolphin safe labels on tuna jars, when in fact there is no way to ensure that dolphins actually have been saved. It is very interesting in the documentary to hear the certification company admit straight out that they have no way to check what is actually happening out in the oceans. And in a world also marked by poverty and shady fishing cartels, it is obvious that to save the oceans, one needs to stop eating fish. As simple as that. And many actually realize that this is what is needed. And the documentary also talks a lot about bycatch, all other fish and livings that get caught and killed as a side effect when fisheries goes fishing, or rather trolling the oceans. So much death in the bycatch. It's grotesque. And when there is so much death, if we count each life of a fish in a boat that filters the ocean with large nets, one realizes that anyone in this business must become numb and really see the fish in the oceans as nonsensible objects. The film makes a huge allegation against the organization named Marine Stewardship Council, MSC. MSC is a non-profit organization that certifies fisheries that are sustainable. It has received a lot of criticism the latest years for setting too low requirements, and also that the same vessel that was approved for sustainable fishing could simultaneously also be used for non-certified fishing, when even companies working for sustainable fishing are said to do greenwashing. It is alarming, and the best and safe solution is to stop eating fish. This is the conclusion of the documentary, and I believe by most who watch it. So we will probably hear more about MSC in the near future. And for the fishing industry, who has been very well aware of this coming in documentary, we should also expect massive counter-actions. I believe the counter-response from fishing organizations will be as hard as we have seen in the dairy industry in many countries. Dairy industry has the recent year fought really tough for their survival by attacking companies that promotes vegan alternatives. Dairy industry has pursued massive legal actions and campaigning. So, we should probably expect the same from the fishing industry. Some of my strongest memorable moments in life are connected with the ocean. I remember snorkeling in the sea outside the Greek island Santorini. It was the first time in my life I got the feeling of being afraid of heights while floating. I was floating and looking down under the sea level. I could see how the bottom of the sea really abruptly dropped some 100 meters. So by just swimming one stroke over the underwater edge that dropped down really sharply, I got a feeling of height that made the heart beat so much faster. And had I not been snorkeling, I had never known about this feeling, and actually the glimpse of the vast underwater dimension. Another moment that made impact on me was snorkeling around the barrier reef in Australia. I saw so many fish, so wild, and so much colors. And then I realized now, it doesn't look like that anymore. It's all dying, and we all must help the oceans to get well. I saw whales in New Zealand. They are massive. And when you see whales in their natural habitat, so wild and so large in size, so free and so fantastic, you get sentimental and almost spiritual. You get aware that you are witnessing some of nature's magic. It's like a cloudy day by the mountains. You just see grey sky, and then all of a sudden the wind blows some clouds away and all becomes clear. And from nowhere, your sight is now just filled with majestic mountains with snow caps. Do you know the feeling? It's like watching marvels of the nature. Watching whales are the same. A huge still ocean. And then, bam! There's spray of water in the air. And there they are. A group swimming. Who knows what they have seen and how long they have traveled. They are there, and an evidence and hope that the wild still exist. Humans has not killed them yet. And dolphins, who you really can see are having fun and playing in the oceans, wild animals living a wild life. Oceans and waters strike something in all of us, memories and feelings. So watching Seaspiracy does directly go to the heart. And while vegan burgers and dairy alternatives are starting to become closer and closer to mainstream, the new area where a lot of attention is drawn to is vegan seafood alternatives. Alternative to fish fingers and tuna is already making the shelves here and there. But the seafood is an area where much more will happen in. Now cell-produced seafood is also wanting to enter the scene. There are some food tech companies that now are investing in research and development of cell-produced fish. One of the new companies is Blue Biosciences from Berlin. Other companies are Blue Nalo from US and also the Singapore-based Shiok Meats that is focused on crustacean seafood. Avant Meat from Hong Kong and the company Wildtype from US. Just some months ago, cell-based meat was 3D printed. And now the trend is also happening to fish. And I must say, it all sounds like science fiction to me. A company named Revo Foods from Austria does 3D printing of salmon. And still, when it comes to products being pure vegan, we probably need to know more about the actual process of creating these lab-produced meats. It may be good to ensure that the full process is vegan. Maybe interesting to note is that the documentary Seaspiracy reveals slavery in the fishing industry of Thailand. And the main fishing organization, Thai Union, which has had large accusations of slavery, have now, this February, launched a press release that they will introduce plant-based fish during this year, 2021. I don't know much about this, but lots are happening in the vegan world, and now especially in the seafood sector. And apart from cell-based alternatives, which are really in their early stage of development, there are also many brands for fish alternatives that already has made the shelves and are made out of more traditional plant-based ingredients like beans, alternatives to tuna, fish fingers, fish burgers, salmon, and we can expect much more to come. And in Asia, where fish makes a major part of the food intake, the interest to invest in substitute fish are high. The fish alternative sector has a potential to become huge, and it has to do with saving the oceans and thereby also the climate and in the long run ourselves. And as someone said in the end of the documentary Seaspiracy, nobody can do everything, but everybody can do something. This is all for today. You have been listening to Veganpodden.se. My name is Minal Parek Nygårds.